I won't lie, I'm just as stunned as you are. Lightning don't strike twice, but I'm dropping 2 videos in 1 week. That wasn't on the bingo card of 2025, but let's get right into it. All right, I have no idea what's going on with the tossing of the glasses, given the fact that they're prescribed and I actually need them. But nevertheless, I digress. I move on to an important question that I have for you that I want you to bounce around in the old noodle. Fact or fiction? Which one would you consider to be the scariest? I mean, given the streaming platforms that we have access to nowadays, you don't have to go to Blockbuster and actually rent something, or you don't have to go to a red box and, you know, pay for a film. You can actually just Hulu, Netflix, Paramount Plus, BET Plus, Tubi, Freevee, Amazon Prime. I mean, there's a plethora of what you can choose from, and there is no shortage of crime documentaries on each of those platforms that you can tap into and plug into some real grittiness and unsavory characters here on our mortal plane, or find your good old-fashioned classic horror film like Nosferatu, maybe Frankenstein. You can dabble in and hop on HBO Max and find yourself streaming it. Welcome to Derry. But the real monsters, aside from Leatherface, Jason, Freddy, Pennywise, the dancing clown, I'm talking about the John Wayne Gacy's, the Ted Bundys, the Richard Kuklinskis, the Jeffrey Dahmers. Those are the ones that really get under your skin because they're real. They're here. They're flesh and blood. And one of the best characteristics, or I would say worse in case of the victims, is that these individuals are able to blend in amongst us. The predators of this world that lurk in the darkness and prey upon the weak amongst us they're here. So, with that being said, Jigsaw, I mean, love him or hate him, but I have to tell you the truth. Was he right? All right, a disclaimer. If you want a real in-depth analysis of the character of John Kramer himself, I would advise you to look elsewhere. Perhaps a video made by CZ's World, uh, given the timeline and the events that led up to John Kramer becoming who he was up until his death. Uh, I find that video very informative. It's very much so an inspiration for this video that I'm writing today, but I just have a different take. So, sorry for the word spaghetti, but if you actually want an in-depth analysis of John Kramer himself, I would say to build a timeline, go to him. All right, so to give you a broad overview of what John Kramer is inside the Sawverse, I would say John Kramer was a civil engineer. He worked on something called the Urban Renewal Project, where he would take these dilapidated buildings around the city and he would actually convert them into low cost, affordable housing for families. I mean, the man had a heart of gold. He was so in touch with this side of helping the human race that he was able to meet the love of his life, Jill Tuck, and she ran something called the Homeward Bound Clinic. Now, at this clinic, you had a bunch of transient people that had some addictions, they had some homelessness, they had a little bit of affliction, a little bit of struggle. Everybody falls on hard times, but this power couple, this match made in the proverbial heaven, they were able to combine their efforts along with small team and other individuals that they used to pull strings and get resources to actually try to change people's lives. So much so that Jill Tuck's clinic also adopted a model that was saying, well, not model, motto that told you to cherish your life. That's how important it was. They just wanted to give back to the community and be that standing stone, that pillar, that beacon of light that everyone needs, right? And it was so good, they were blessed and highly favored for such a time that John Kramer and Jill Tuck actually were about to sire some children. Yes, well, at least one that we know of. And he was to be named Gideon. Now, there are some Judeo-Christianity themes mixed in there. Gideon being one of the judges that God had chosen to help lead his people. And John saw fit to take that civil engineering and maximize it to his best potential. I mean, he's building cribs. He created this creepy ass doll named Billy the Puppet that he was going to use to just, depart messages to his son. It was just loving, and being a father, I sympathize with that. And he kept on doing the work at the clinic as well. John begins to worry as his wife begins to get further and further along, so much so that an event happens where two of these individuals start to get into it. I mean, you have one guy by the name of Cecil Adams that I can remember. Can't remember who else he was getting into it with, but it got so bad that Cecil was willing to draw a knife, and John Kramer actually stepped in and was like, "Look, man, you don't want to do that because a lot is going on here. It's a little bit more you need to think about. But your addiction and your issues are starting to become a problem for everybody." He didn't mean it in a cynical way at first, but you see this little flare in John's eyes, like the work that's being done here is kind of not helping. It's not really doing enough. John was not wrong. You see, one night while he was outside waiting on his lovely wife to finish her shift and lock up at the Homeward Bound Clinic, Cecil Adams doubled back and he's saying that he left something on the inside of the building. So Jill Tuck turns around and tries to let him inside to, let him go get his belongings. But the truth is, he was trying to score a little bit of drugs, a little bit of bump, even if it was something to take the edge off for the night. But in his rush to do so, he pushes the doors open, and Jill, being damn near to the point where she was about to have this baby at any moment, he smashes her right in the abdomen. And as you already know, things do not turn out right for poor little Gideon. It is so bad, in fact, that it crushes John Kramer. I mean, what man wouldn't be crushed if he's going to have his first child? I mean, I was there when my children were born. It was one of the most beautiful experiences. But this sent him into a downward spiral. Hey, the only Saw film that John Kramer was not in. John's depression causes him to push everybody away. I mean, even the individuals from the Urban Renewal Group. He doesn't feel like doing this humanitarian work no more. He lashes out at Jill. He lets her know, "Hey, man, you don't have to come back. I'm done. I'm done. You want to help these people, you can't do it. They have to help themselves." And on top of that, wouldn't you know it, the devil ain't done kicking a man while he's down. But he finds out that he has an inoperable tumor on his frontal lobe, and there's nothing that they can really do about it. So he gets in his car and he starts to enjoy a little bit of that 460 AC, 4 windows down, 60 miles per hour on the highway. Yeah, you ain't been through the struggle unless you know. He flies off a cliff in an attempt to get rid of himself and smashes into the ground. But lo and behold, he survives this cataclysmic event and he has to pull himself out of the wreckage of the car, and he has a piece of rebar sticking inside his torso. He and yanks it out and realizes, I'm not done living. And that sparked something in his mind. What if they were put through what I was put through? That'll show if they really, really want it. This is what makes Saw one of the scariest films, aside from the fact that in one of the films, he literally says, my government name in one of the traps. I cut the movie off immediately, brother. The amount of times that there are fake outs in these movies where you will see an individual move a curtain back and look inside the room, and the whole time they were checking the wrong area because somebody creeped up behind them. It's so bad. In fact, I didn't make this video earlier in the wee hours because while I was writing my script on what I was going to talk about, I kept hearing noises. It's broad daylight. And before you go, I want you to understand. Love your friends, cherish them, be there for them. But you have to understand, you cannot save them. They have to save themselves. Peace out.